Chapter 18, The Blue Notebook. They had a plan. It all depended on Sherry. Everyone just hoped she wouldn't fall asleep first. Sherry often fell asleep in class. "Come on, Sherry," thought Dee. "You can do it." Sherry looked out the window. The sky was full of big, fluffy clouds. She yawned. The clouds looked like giant pillows. Sherry imagined herself wrapped up in one of those clouds, soft and cozy. She pulled her blue and red coat snugly over her head. Her eyes closed. Then they opened wide. "What's that?" she shouted. "Sherry?" said Mrs. Drizzle. "Look!" shouted Sherry, pointing out the window. "It's a... Hurry!" Her long eyelashes stuck straight out. Mrs. Drizzle hurried to Sherry's desk. "What is it?" "A spaceship," said Sherry, "from outer space." On the other side of the room, Dee dropped her pencil. She bent down to pick it up, then stayed down. Dee was part of the plan, too. She had a dangerous mission. She had volunteered for it. She felt it was her duty, since she was the one who had brought Louis up to meet Mrs. Drizzle in the first place. "You don't have to do it," Ron had told her. "Mrs. Drizzle would have seen Louis sooner or later." "Nope, I'll do it," Dee had bravely replied. Now she crawled across the floor. Mrs. Drizzle looked out the window. "Where?" she asked. "Wait, it went behind a cloud," said Sherry. "What did it look like?" asked Mrs. Drizzle. "Like a giant hamburger," said Sherry, "but there was a zizzle stick hanging down from the bottom." Dee crawled to the teacher's desk. She reached up and quietly opened the top drawer. She removed the blue notebook. Mrs. Drizzle stared out the window. "What's a zizzle stick?" she asked. "I don't know," Sherry said very mysteriously. "They don't have them here on Earth." Dee crawled safely back to her seat. At recess, everyone crowded around Dee as she went through the blue notebook. "Louis once put a frog in Mrs. Drizzle's shoe," she said. "Why wasn't her shoe on her foot?" asked Jenny. "It doesn't say," said Dee. "There's a whole list of bad things that Louis did, and he made it sound like Mrs. Drizzle picked on him for no reason." "No wonder she put a garbage can on his head," said Todd. "What else did he do?" asked Eric Bacon, who was always looking for new ideas. But Dee had already turned the page. "There are other kids a lot worse than Louis," she said, flipping through the pages. "What are you looking for?" asked Ron. "I don't know yet," said Dee, "but I'll know it when I see it." She saw it. It was a note to Mrs. Drizzle from a girl named Jane Smith. Dee read it aloud. "Dear Lizardface, guess what? I didn't do my homework again. Ha ha ha! And there's nothing you can do about it. My family is moving away tomorrow, and you don't know where. Ha ha ha! Rub a monkey's tummy. By the time you get this letter, I'll be gone. Rub a monkey's tummy with your head. Love and kisses, Jane Smith." Everyone was shocked. "How old is that letter?" asked Myron. Dee checked the date, then did the math in her head. Jane Smith wrote it 26 years ago. "And look," said Ron, reading over Dee's shoulder, "Jane didn't do her last 12 homework assignments." After recess, Sherry saw the UFO again, and Dee returned the notebook to Mrs. Drizzle's desk. Now, all they had to do was find Jane Smith.